Mitchell Roschelle joins us now for the Real Estate Edge, here to talk about what's going on with renting. Happy to have you back on the show.
Thanks, Angie.
What do you expect? Do you expect that renting will be higher in the new year?
Yeah, I don't want to be the big bummer for your audience, but rent is going to continue to go up. And let me tell you why. So we are actually forming more households in the United States, and a household formation is when statistically children move out of their parents' house. We're forming more households at a rate greater than we're adding to new supply of both single-family homes and both apartments. So what's happening is we have excess demand for rental units, which means rents are going up.
Rents are going up. So what are the construction folks thinking? What are they? Are they
What's
building more? Or
yeah,
less?
It's a great question. What we saw prior to the financial crisis was new supply of apartments being added roughly at about a rate of 3% a year. What I mean by 3% is if you took all of the apartments in the country and you figured out what percentage of new supply was being, so it was 3% of all apartments was the new supply rate. Now we're at like 0.9% in some markets, okay? There are markets that are starting to get oversupplied in terms of new supply. San Francisco, New York saw it, but those are the pricier markets. Developers are interested in those markets because they like the rent level, and the rent level justifies the cost of new construction. But for the most part, we're not meaningfully adding to the supply of new apartments. So what's happening when you don't add to supply? Rents go up.
What about just starts, overall starts of construction?
So overall starts, well, one of the challenges with housing starts numbers is they're very, very noisy, right? So from month to month you see big fluctuations. We saw a big pickup a month or so ago, and the most recent numbers that came out were below expectations. If you look at them over time, though, we're still adding to supply at a relatively low rate. Okay, and the reason is home builders don't want to get ahead of themselves. They found themselves with excess inventory in the past. Overbuilding. They're very worried about that, so they're trying to sort of do it almost on demand and seeing where the demand is and trying to fill the supply that way. And that's not a sustainable model because we're forming households at a greater rate. People are opting, and you also saw what was happening in the last couple of years was this trend of taking single-family homes and turning them into rental property, as opposed to the traditional apartment. That is part of the absorption of the demand of all of these new formed households.
And those home builders did talk specifically about apartment building.
Right, and some of them pivoted into the apartment construction business as well to build apartments as opposed to traditional single-family homes.
They see the demand really coming then.
Right, and everybody was blaming the issues in the lack of the housing market picking up on the millennials who were not wanting to buy homes and so forth. But if you look at the demographics, the home ownership rate is actually down across all generational cohorts. So it's not just something we can point fingers at the millennials and say, it's all your fault. The fact of the matter is, baby boomers who are selling their homes are opting to rent as opposed to buy.
They just don't want the hassle, maybe.
It's a little bit of hassle, and it's a little bit of, the financial crisis is still in our rearview window, right? And if you think about it, and if you think about the millennials, they grew up in that era of the financial crisis, and baby boomers sort of remember 2 or 3 other recessions that real estate played a role in. So they're saying, well, maybe we should rent as opposed to buy.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Angie. Appreciate it.